Welcome to Raise Sensation. I'm your host, Dan. And in this episode, I am going to be taking a look at this book, The Fantastic Worlds of Frank Frazetta. Join me. All right, so here we go. We're going to crack open this. This is a giant Fantastic Worlds of Frank Frazetta, edited by Diane Hansen, who's done a lot of Taschen books. This is Taschen. This is not the super deluxe version. There's a much more expensive limited edition version that came out. This is not that. This is so super deluxe that the other ones, probably pretty fantastic. But this is the art. It's printed on the same type of paper, so I'm good with this. Here we go. I'm gonna flip this open here. Wow. So here's some nice end papers. A nice rough sketch he's done there. And it's starting off early in his career with some of his artwork. You can see, very, boy, this looks really whack. This looks very much like the Power comics of the 80s, blown up this big because of the halftones. Now, in the regular printing of this, these halftones would not look like this, but they do look like this in the Power comics when people were using them who weren't quite as skilled as these guys. This is, these early ones are very informed by newspaper comics like Hal Foster's Prince Valiant and Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon and stuff like that. So, and Frazetta isn't the only person. A lot of the people who did some of what they consider the best comics for EC and stuff, especially their science fiction stuff. A lot of people were influenced by those guys. So, wow, this is fun. This is a fun. These are fun pictures to see this blown up this big. This is pretty fantastic looking here. Here's broken up to the chapters. Now, as with all Taschen books, Taschen is a German publisher. I know I've said this at the beginning of some of my other videos, but since I see people online who don't seem to get what's going on, they generally have their books in 3, 4, sometimes 5 different languages are in the books. And what they do is, you see these chapters here. There's 4 chapters. Animals and Little Abner, Tarzan, Conan and Ringo Starr, Esquire and Death Dealer. So this is basically the 40s to the 50s, funny animals and newspaper comic stuff. Then there's the 60 through 69, which was a lot of cover work and illustrations for magazines and movie posters and stuff. And this is the 70s and covers the same kind of ground. And then the 80s through 2010, Fire and Ice and Dusk Till Dawn, it says. And then there's a big bibliography. I just got out of the shower. I showered and washed my hands really good before I did this. I still left a little mark on on this page here. So this is a great cover. This cover's been had been swiped a lot, including humorous versions of it. Pretty famous early cover. Got to put his name on there, big. Wow. As with all these Taschen books, I was saying about the different languages. So it's broken up in those chapters within those chapters, what has been written for that chapter is printed in however many different languages. I think this one's 4 languages. I just cracked this open. I'm not kidding. I just took this out of the box. I have not looked at this yet. We are looking at this together. This is kind of like an unboxing thing. So what they do is they print, usually it's English first. So that here's the English, then it's going to have French and German and whatever else they're putting in these this book. So all those different essays are printed, and the pictures that are in that all relate back to that first English bit, that first English essay. So even when you get to the next language and the next, all these pictures still go back to this first essay, and then the next chapter starts the same. So that's how that works. Yeah, so this is, wow. And I have, I have comic reprints of this stuff. Some of this stuff has been reprinted in other books. Vanguard has been releasing some really terrific Frazetta books. So as I'm flipping through here, I am kind of thinking back to the ways it's been done before. Man, I gotta say, I love the colors on this. I love that they shot it. They photographed it, and it looks like they did a great job with the reproduction. And this is some of these things are from were in the one Vanguard book, and they look good in that too. I'm not going to do a side by side right now. Maybe I'll do that in the future. But dang. I love this picture too. The look on her in the face and the devil's face. Was this actually? Yeah, this is from the Little Abner strip, Sadie Hawkins. So here it is. And this is the essay. This is this isn't even the first chapter. This is the lead up. This is the introduction. So it's a little bit of a peek into his whole career. And then we'll go to that first. And there he is. Did some work on the little Annie Fanny. Terrific. Wow, that looks so good. Well, of course, a really famous. I love that. You can see the board. The texture of the board showing through this. It just looks really terrific. Did he do this specifically for that? Was used on I think it was a Carl Wagner paperback. I'm not sure if it was done. I think this was done specifically for these books because it is a red-haired barbarian, and I think it does match up on all the different books. So I guess he did them specifically. Here's some Edgar Rice Burroughs. That stuff that's from Politicar, right? Oh yeah, Bloodstone. Carl Edward Wagner is the one over there. Oh no, this is just a creepy one. I thought this might have been supposed to be the no, but he does do some of those, but that's not it. Now this is one where I get what he's trying to do with this pose, but it's not one of my favorites, but it's heavily done. I mean, it's got all the usual great colors and stuff. Just that pose does not look like. And he was such a physical guy. He really knew how the body worked. So he was shooting for a particular thing. It's just in the heat of battle to do that particular jump would be kind of crazy. There's the Molly Hatchet. There's the Mothman. Oh, shoot. Oh, I love this. I love this underwater effect. The shadows, the rippling shadows on her for the being underwater. That is a great effect on her body there. Of course, the original '33 King Kong is one of my favorite films of all time. It's a fun picture. And now here it is. This is actually covering the work from 44 to 59. A lot of great sketch stuff. Wow, seeing this blown up this big. Fantastic. And see that, so now the essay for that's over already, but we're gonna still keep seeing the art, just with the different languages. Ooh, I've never seen this one before. Nice mock-up for this, the weird fantasy cover. Wow, great. All these horror comics where they're gonna have somebody gasping and they'll say, and it'll have the thing choke. Look how blown up that is. Look at those halftones there and everything. That is crazy. That is crazy. Look at this, the little Abner stuff. Had to close that door for a second. Wasn't sure if that noise from the other room was bleeding in or not, but I felt like this was a good place to pause on. You know, I used to have some, I sold them off. You know, I wasn't revisiting them, and in a downsizing thing, I sold off some of those little Abner reprints. You know, of course, I have buyer regrets about even some of the worst things I've sold off, because then I always want to go back and revisit them. But you know, these, you know, what can I say? Little Abner has, you know, was a lot about horniness. And Frazetta gets that across pretty well in his versions. But look, that's some funny that's some funny cartooning there. That's good stuff. Yeah, that was not in one of the reprints. This is a Sunday page. The ones I had didn't have the Sunday pages. Very cool. What is that? Why is that holding together like that? I mean, some of this, like this, to see this blown up, you know, I don't know that this is a panel I'd have blown up, but hey, there's so much good stuff. I'm not going to quibble about it. Remove red lines from black plate. Yeah. Wow. Very nice. Was Frank Frazetta's little character, Snowman. I really don't know much about Snowman. I think I have a book around that reprints and it has some stuff in it, but you know, now that I think about it, I can't really recall much about it. It's really great to see these sketches, you know, to see him working on the layouts. Wow. Wow, that's great. There he is, drawing a pretty good caricature of John Wayne for John Wayne Comics number 8. Don't know that I've seen this reprinted before. Hmm. Frank's early Western collaborator was Al Williamson. Now, I knew he had done some, they had helped each other out, drawing and inking each other's stuff in different comics before, Al Williamson and Frazetta. This picture doesn't really look like either of them to me, and the way there's something about the way that looks, but this one's not signed by either of those guys, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, and like I say, both of them were in their comics work were heavily influenced by the same adventure guys. There's an awful lot of the comic stuff here. A lot more than I thought there was going to be honest. Yeah. It's obvious he was like Kniff was an influence on this stuff too. But again, Kniff was, he's one of those newspaper guys. The newspaper guys were making a lot more money than the comics guys were doing, and they were a lot more respected. And these guys really looked for influence to those fellas, which is understandable. Boy, like I said, it's weird to see these halftones blown up so big. Speaking of which, so this attempt at the newspaper strip. Now I'm still talking about this race car thing. Not really my cup of tea. Here's some Love comics. Frazetta was, even when it had beautiful art like this, just never read any of the romance comics. I do have an issue that the book that printed a lot of these up, and I have a walkthrough of it here on the channel. There's Buck Rogers, another thing that was originally in the newspapers that was pretty influential. Look at that! Look, that's a wild looking alien there. That's funny stuff. Gosh. Man, that is one tiny horse. Oh, yeah. Brands' face. Where'd he go? Where'd he go, honey? Ugh, gruesome. Wow. That's his Tarzan here looks like a cross between Tarzan and Prince Valiant to me. See, this looks like Kurtzman did that cover. I think this must come first though. baptism cover for anyway, I can't think of it. Wow, that is this. When was this done? Original art for Jungle Tales of Tarzan. He said Frazetta claimed that he did 3 covers in one weekend. Oh, he's talking about this cover for one. Is this one of the other ones? Because boy, yeah, that's another one from the 3 he claimed to have done in one weekend. That I can believe. That is one of the worst faces. This is one of the crudest things I've seen from Frazetta. I can't believe this was done this late in his career. I mean, it's still the 60s, so he still had a long ways to go. It's still early on, but at the same time, he'd already done so much really polished work. Cool. So at one point I saw a video many years back, and I cannot figure out what it was, but it was talking about the Frazetta covers, his most famous paintings, and it was saying like, it would take one of these covers and it would say like 1, 2, 3, 4. It would show slightly different looks to it. Now, one thing I've heard is that sometimes he would, years later, go back and work on one of his old covers and change them. But we seem to have an agreed upon look for some of these things, and they have reshot them, and they still seem to match up to those earlier ones. So then I was wondering, did he get commissioned to repaint the covers, and that's what those were? If anybody remembers anything like that, if you could put it in the comments, I'd appreciate it, and maybe it's covered in this book. Like I said, I just opened this up. I have not read it at all. I just took it out of the box. I'm just looking at it now. That picture of Ringo. God. And some of this movie. See, the Mad Monster Party. Here's the thing is, this cartoon is as though it was made specifically for me, because it's stop motion, which I love. It's all these famous monsters all together, which I love. But there's something about the direction of it. It's just not, it just doesn't hit quite right. I still watch it fairly often, but it just seemed like such a missed opportunity. And part of that's probably, the physical comedy, the direction of the animation of the puppets for the physical comedy is not what it should have been for this kind of thing. And, it's budget, it was time, it was this, it was that. So there's reasons. I mean, I still loved it, but boy, I really, when I watch it, I usually think, I wish this had been better. I wish, but it is what it is. And like I said, it holds a happy place in my heart. It's nice to see that Frazetta artwork of it. More movie poster stuff. Cool. Cool. Now this one also, this looks like, well, anyway, this I know is a swipe from an earlier comic book, this pose. There's a, I can't remember the artist, but there's another one where this seems to have been, that pose seems to have been copied, but Oh, here's the monsters. These are the pterodactyl monsters from the Politicar. Is that how you say that? The Edgar Rice Burroughs of the Earth's Core monsters. There's one of them. See, this is, it's not really, that one doesn't look like a lot of times they're depicted looking more like these creatures, these telepathic monsters are depicted more like pterodons, and sometimes they're less like those and more like some kind of crazy other creature. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I bought a lot of paperbacks because of this man's work. But I also bought a lot of I bought a lot of Tarzan because of Neil Adams. Neil Adams did some terrific covers too when I was younger. Man, Conan. Yeah, the Conan, I had the first issue of Conan when it came out. I was so, the comic book, I was so primed for it. So good. I loved everything Conan. Conan was like, he took Tarzan. Tarzan had a lot of fantasy elements in it because, Edgar Rice Burroughs, he was a sci-fi fantasy guy. So there's a lot of that in the Tarzan books. I hope my head hasn't button popping into this. I realize now this book is so big, I'm leaning over it pretty far. But my favorite thing is anything with monsters, creatures, beast men, that kind of stuff. That's what I lived for as a younger person, and I love to see that now because it shoots off all those feelings of joy still, that nostalgic feeling of love I have for these kind of scenarios. And so Conan was like really, because there was a lot of monsters and horror elements in Conan. Great T-Rex. More weird beasties. The Mad King. One of Burroughs' lesser known works. I've seen that cover. I did not know what it was for. I thought it might be for, if you've heard of the Flashman series of books, I thought maybe it was something for those, but that doesn't look like normal Frazetta. These are interesting. Great. I love these amphibious monsters he's got. Whew. This is a little risque. Uh-oh. I have the feeling Facebook might label this one for adults only if it gets too out there. I don't worry about it too much because I don't monetize, but I do dislike when it gets put for adults only because then, you have to be signed in to see it. And a lot of people don't sign in when they're on Facebook. And so means a lot of people doesn't get recommended to them, and they might not see it at all. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is the typical monster carrying away the female, but that monster is so cool. The Warren covers. Oh my God, I love this. That is a fantastic werewolf. This is just like one of the most perfect pictures for me. I was a teen when the boy, this stuff is this was just right. This is just right. This is the right thing. I loved monsters. I loved the Universal monsters. I loved all monsters, but this harked back to the Universal monsters. Whenever the Universal monsters had their mashups, the fighting was never that exciting. There was a couple of good moves in the very end of Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, but it's over so fast. There's very little really cool. This is what I wanted those movies to be like, this kind of thing. And, eventually Paul Naschy, the Spanish writer, director, does it all kind of things. Who made his werewolf movies and vampire films and stuff. His stuff delivered on this kind of thing. But oh God, this is such a good werewolf. So good. You know, the thing is that you know, I'm not saying his was the first, or you know, another, you know, of these kind of werewolves, but a lot of times the werewolves you would see would either be, you know, people would actually turn into wolves, or they were ripoffs of Lon Chaney Jr.'s makeup. And I like this kind. I like these type of werewolves better, you know. Of course, I love the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and that's pretty much it. Look at these. Wow, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. And here's some of the war comic, Blazing Combat, I think it was, that cover. Just tremendous. I wasn't really into the war comics, quite frankly, but that's, I don't know, I thought there was a, yeah, Blazing Combat. Oh, so good. This is, you know, this is the stuff, this was the stuff I really saw. I didn't see his comic artwork until it was reissued later. So I wasn't seeing that comic stuff. I might have seen the little Abner, didn't know it was him or anything, didn't, you know. This is what, you know, the paperback covers, the worn covers, this is Frazetta, this was Frazetta for me. And this is just, I mean, this is so great, so great. Man. You know, Frazetta isn't quite as bad as Corbin when it comes to giving voluptuous bodies to weird women. But he's got a little bit there. Look at that. Oh, man, that just so good. I'll keep saying this over and over. I'm going to try and stop talking so much. I just wanted to give you guys a quick peek-see, but you know, because I haven't looked at it yet either, and I'm going through every single spread. That's not what I meant to do. Dang. So good. I'm going to go through it a little faster now. These color preliminaries are, oh, look at that. She was originally going to have a skull face. Damn. That looks like the pose for the Clint Eastwood movie poster he did, the Gauntlet. Wow. Oh, speaking of that, there it is. The Gauntlet. You know, this poster was not the one that was in the theater I saw it at. There was another poster that was a different look. Just too bad. I didn't know Eastwood had done this. This isn't the one that hung at the theater where I saw it. And you know, at the time I wasn't seeing a lot of trades, papers, or anything that would have those kind of posters up ahead of time. Gosh. Oh, that's fun. This is so fun. So good looking. Here we're coming up on some. Oh yeah, is this more of the? Yeah. Carl Wagner. Oh yeah, the Swords Against Darkness. Gosh, you know, when I was for some reason when I was going through I've been going through my boxes and storage. I have not come across a bunch of my Sword and Sorcery paperbacks. I'm hoping those aren't some of the things. I have so much stuff; it's ridiculous. You know, but I haven't found these, and I'm really a little bit afraid that they were. You know, I've lost some things to water damage before, and you know, I didn't take complete inventory of that stuff because I was just so upset at the time that there's stuff that was ruined, and I, just in, in order to deal with it, I just kind of like did not look through everything and just got rid of the boxes I needed to. So I'm wondering if, some of that might have be some of the stuff. Wow. Golem. What was this done for? Oh, he did a Lord of the Rings portfolio. I was going to say, because I had seen some stuff that I didn't know where it was printed. I thought it was maybe a special edition of the Lord of the Rings. Some Western stuff. Oh, yeah. See, this is some of the stuff for Flashman. The Flashman books. And when I saw that other picture, I thought it was part of that series, but it wasn't. I probably read that somewhere. My brain forgot it. I wish my brain worked half as well as it should anymore. Wow, it's a bunch of interesting stuff. Yeah. Yeah. At the Earth's core. He did a lot more illustrations for these different various book club versions of books, or than I realized. I saw them in one of the other books, in one of the Vanguard books. There were a bunch of black and white illustrations I hadn't seen before, and it's because they were done. He did a lot of work for these, for different book club or mail order editions, special editions of some of these books. And gosh, this is cool. There's definitely stuff here. I don't. That is a very cartoony lion face. I like that. Wow. Just. I think you can basically see, he's being very coy about the male nudity. Again, if it was Corbin, because the two guys whose color work was blowing my mind at the time. Well, there was actually three, because Basil Gogos, who did famous monster covers, he used to use a really weird color spectrum for his covers. The colors he was mixing for those covers were not realistic. They didn't look like the colors that the monsters from the films had, which were much more plain and regular. He would mix in all these other colors that would just work, that would just bring these things to life. Frazetta's that way, and Corbin's work was that way. Corbin's a little bit, Corbin's color work is a little bit later. I mostly saw his black and white stuff early on. But when his comes along, those are the guys that really have some interesting stuff as far as I'm concerned. And I do love some female warriors and barbarians, and boy. Wow. Here's the thing is, he does a King Kong, but I don't like his King Kong. That's too much like a real gorilla for me, and that's not what the King Kong looks like to me. that weird more humanoid ape creature from 1933 King Kong. That's the King Kong that I always want to see. Always, people. Even though he doesn't look like a real ape, and a lot of people, everything since then has made him look more like a gorilla. But I don't think that's. I remember Battlestar Galactica. I didn't watch much of that. I saw early on that they weren't really gonna, the Cylons, the robot people. I want some. If there were any monsters in Battlestar Galactica, I didn't watch enough to ever see them. So that's not my kind of sci-fi. I want my aliens to be really weird, non-humanoid. Yeah, I'm not really that familiar with some of this artwork here. I'll read through it later. Again, more book club kind of stuff. There's a lot of that I didn't know. And I think just early in the book they mentioned that he did not get this done in time for it to actually be used for a poster. But he did it. And Fire and Ice, I was living in Pennsylvania at the time, and I really wanted to see this when it came out. But and I would see a lot of drive-in stuff, a lot of, and there was theaters I could see stuff near me, but it wasn't a big city kind of thing. So things that got a limited release, a lot of times I had to go to Hagerstown, Maryland to see them, or sometimes I'd go up further north to see them. But I never, as far as I could tell, and I tried to look through the ads in the newspapers fairly often for this kind of stuff. I never saw this in the theaters, so I didn't see it for a long time. Kind of disappointed, just like I was disappointed with Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings when it came out. He was trying to do stuff that really he didn't have the budget to do. So it's interesting, and I think it kind of informs a lot of stuff that came later. But I don't know if you quite. This is a weird one. These arms, something about this, the arms for this pose look way too short, and the whole body. That looks more like one of those weird little pewter miniatures they had for tabletop gamers. That just doesn't look right to me. That looks like Nosferatu's head in the back of there. Cool. Wow. There's the same thing again with that weird. Those arms just look way too small. For me, there's something about them, the way they're done, and maybe they're anatomically correct, but they just don't look right to me. That pose doesn't look right. That's great. So, I'm starting to come near the end of this book. Again, I didn't mean to go through the whole thing. I don't know what good it's doing. I don't know that anybody's still looking at this stuff, watching me. Oh yeah, this is a cool one. For Animal Kingdom magazine, they use the African name for this creature. It's basically a cryptoid. There was, all these talks. You might have seen that movie Baby, I think it's called. Is that what it was called? About there's some brontosaurus, some sauropods that they discover in Africa, and they talk about how there's this creature in Africa that the tribes would talk about that seemed, from the descriptions, to be a sauropod kind of dinosaur, and it was mostly found in stories from the Khoisan I'm probably saying that wrong. It's it's what the tribe they used to call the pygmies, and of course we don't. That's not the greatest name in the world for people. We came up with that. I don't know where it comes from, but anyway, but so he did this illustration for an article about that. That's interesting. That looks like when. So he did this in 1992. It says a well-developed man-beast hybrid. But to me, that looks like that demon. He looks like he's revisiting that demon from the early issue of was it Erie, I guess, earlier in the book. Go back and look. Remember the sorcerer's calling him up. It looks like he's revisiting him. Well, I like these. I like some of these simpler things here. Yeah, I saw that. I used to see that. They late night TV. They used to have all those L. Ron Hubbard commercials that would run for his books, his sci-fi books, and they used to use Frazetta's artwork in those commercials. Does anybody remember those? Dang, lady. Not all hang out there. Again, when the Facebook bot, they examine your, when it's downloading, what they're really doing is they're looking for things that they need to censor or change your rating for it to make it adults only, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking that I will probably get an adults only for this one, which is too bad because, when I was younger, if you told me I wasn't allowed to read something, and I had very little adult supervision as a child, and so I constantly, if I looked at something, I'd go like, oh, the adults in my life probably would not want me to look at this because of nudity or violence or what have you. Then I desperately, it had to be seen. I'd lived for that stuff. And I kind of still do. Wow. That's fun. That's fun. Oh, this is a... Who comes? There's his little character, the snowman. Somewhere around I have some of that stuff reprinted, and I don't really... Boy, I really don't remember reading it. I really need to look for that. Hopefully, as I go through my storage and I'm going through all these boxes, I'll find some of this stuff. And wow, a lot of cool covers. I think Vanguard Press is. I think they're about to put out this winter one of their nice books that's his comic book cover art, all and if it's like the other books, it'll be a full page of all these different covers. I'm not really crazy about these. I mean, so it has Frazetta and somebody else, but that doesn't. There's that figure I don't like with the tiny arms. Yeah, some of these later things where they're taking advantage of the Frazetta art. I don't begrudge the granddaughters because one of the who are keeping this stuff alive. They helped with this book. They are licensing out this stuff, but some of the stuff just doesn't look that. Oh, there's the actual cover for this. That is a wonky looking face for that. And none of the others look like that. None of the others look that bad. Oh yeah, I think this is in one of the Vanguard Press. They talk about these models. I can't remember what it said. Curse this lousy memory of mine. Yeah, you know, these are the Conan books I had. These are the ones that where I was like, oh yeah, these are me. You know, I gotta have these. I gotta have those. Man, yeah, I had all these. And I had some of the Edgar Rice Burroughs. Most of the Burroughs I was buying though were, well, not most, but some of them were Neil Adams too, and I liked Neil Adams. You know, I don't revisit Neil Adams as much as I used to though. Maybe I should take a deep dive into that. And of course, these worn covers. Yeah, see, there's one of the Canes. There's one. I thought there's another Wagner one, but it doesn't have Kane on the cover. And he did do this. That's another night. There's another one. That doesn't look. Oh yeah, that's a Kane one too. Okay, so those are the three. Those are the three Kane ones I had. I don't know if there was more Kane ones or not. But oh yeah, I had that one too. That one's Kane. I don't think. I mean that's Wagner. I don't know if it's Kane or not. Yeah, it says Kane. So there were four. I had four of them. Wow. Man, I hope I still have those books. I really need to look at those again. I have a feeling I might not have them though, because boy, it's been a while since I've seen them. You know, you can watch some of my unboxing videos for when I grab one of my grab a box from storage and just look randomly through my paperbacks and see some of the stuff I have. But I don't remember there being much Sword and Sorcery, and I used to read it a lot. All these movie posters, that reconfigured for Fire and Ice. There's that Gauntlet poster. There's a different one though that was used, a more boring one. Yeah. Oh, so much goodness. See, there's that monster of the Erie. Now see, this King Kong, that looks more like the real King Kong. The one he did for that paperback, and that one should be coming up here soon, is not... yeah, I was freaked out. I used to read the National Lampoon all the time. And they would, when they wanted to do a parody of something, they would get the people who were doing the type of artwork they were trying to parody to do the actual artwork. They had a lot of great illustrators do stuff for them. And these are, the National Lampoon things were great. I had that issue of Comic Scene where they talked about the making of Fire and Ice. I did not see that. That was long. I mean, I had stopped reading Mad when I started reading National Lampoon. I would still occasionally buy a Mad, depending on what movie there was. And also, you know, I would still feel nostalgic for Don Martin and people like that. But generally, the Mad stuff, once the National Lampoon came out, I was kind of like, eh. That's funny. And this is a current company that's been licensing Frazetta stuff, and they're trying to do, you know, you can see this is obviously a takeoff from Creepy. He does great caricatures, though. He does great, and you can really tell who the people are. It's great. That is a great caricature of country singer Roger Miller. Terrific. I was not a Herman's fans. They have one or two songs I guess I like, but generally I was not. Most of these things are, they're just after the fact. They just pick up some of the stuff. Well, there's the book. God, what did I do? Did I take a half hour on that? I might have. That's a monster. So the idea is, do you need this book in your collection, even if you've got a lot of books? I probably have 24 Frazetta books already. Between the early ones I got back in the 70s and all the ones I've gotten since, I probably have a couple dozen. This is beautiful. This is really beautiful. I think, boy, if you can afford it, and these do go out of print, and then what they do is they keep making smaller and smaller versions. Not less page count, but the size of the books goes down. And I'm about to do a video about another book where they did one of these giant ones, and it sold out, and now they've done a small version. And that's the Masters of Fantasy Art. And I'll be going through that on another video. But anyway, here's your look at this book. Hope you enjoyed looking through it. Sorry it's so long. But this should give you a good idea about whether you want to spend the money. I really think it's worth it if you've got it. There's been plenty of times when I did not have the money to buy stuff like this, and it has slipped through my fingers. Once this is out of print, I have the feeling it's going to go for really big bucks. But wow, what a book. All right, that's it for today.